Ahem. The following is a dramatic recreation of what has happened over the course of a few days, and why we had to take a while before we could actually do this video. Enjoy. Oh no! Lappy! Lappy Mark 3, are you alright? I'm sorry. I just got hit by a rather bad bug. Ugh. It's affecting my systems. Oh, Lappy. No. You've meant so much to us for the past few years. I can't believe this has happened. Your hard drive. It's tears. There should be no tears, Tatsuminga. But where there's life, there is. Oh, she's gone. Our our faithful computer is gone. I know, Trixie. Trixie, look. Well, here we go again. She regenerated. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened. Lappy Mark III got badly injured and is now regenerated into Lappy Mark IV. I hope you guys don't mind, but we'll be practicing around with her. You know these regeneration sickness, right? But without further ado, let's get on with the show. Z is for Zing by Fulrexp. Beware, beware, ye bunny folk. DCs are blue are no joke. This thing on? Hello? Hello? I am proud to announce legislation outlawing Sabrika. The bombing begins in 10 minutes. Here we go. Here now. Awesome. You can hear me out there? Great, even better. So, a stable dweller and Alicorn and a Night Stalker all walk into the bar. The bartender says, "Hey, we don't serve your kind here." Night Stalker saunters up and puts on a top hat and a Mongol and says, "I'm terribly sorry, old chap. I'll have the way outside while I have a small of tea." Keep, keep, keep. Okay, so not the greatest joke I ever told, so sue me. Wait, don't do that. I don't want to be sued. Whatever that is. Moving on. I suppose you want to know a little more about me, alright? Well, alright then. My name is Lame Joke, and my special talent is comedy. That's right, comedy. I'm a funny pony. I tell jokes. Like the one about the ghoul who was losing his mind. Literally. Cheep, cheep, cheep. Alright. So I'm not that funny. I get it. There's a reason my name is Lame Joke after all. But enough about me. Let's start off with some fart jokes. Everybody loves fart jokes, right? Hey, where are you leaving? Stop that. Sit down for a minute, would you? Listen, I'll make you a bet, alright? I'll bet you I could get you. Yeah, get you really good. So sit back, and I'll tell you a little story. Story of my life, really. Story of my search for the killer joke. That's right, the killer joke. The big one. The one joke in the history of the equestrian wasteland that will cause any pony's size to immediately split in laughter. You see, I lived in the west end of the city of Tringham. It's a shithole, let me tell you. Just about the worst place one can live. And that's what you get when your home is an irradiated wasteland full of unspeakable horrors. A long time ago, there was this big war between the ponies and zebras, and they just blew the place all to hell. Guess that's why my special talent is comedy. When I was growing up, I had to make do with just my mom and me. Mom loved me and all, but I was a little funny in the head as a colt. I had to stutter. Still do occasionally. Anywho, my mom worked at this bar just outside the city. Nice little place. Still there, too. I do my show there 3 times a week even. So back to my story. I mean, I'm sure you're enjoying yourself, but come on. There's better things to do with your time than listen to a cracked up old jokester like me. Ma left me to my own devices one day while she was waitressing, and I got a little too curious for my own good. I somehow ended up finding the kitchen and was highly interested in the most gorgeous looking pie I ever laid my eyes on. Well, one thing led to another, and the next minute I know I'm rolling out in front of the bar on a series of rolling pins. You know, the things you beat flour with? The pie of all things lands on my face. Then, dead silence. Out of nowhere, at some point he starts laughing, and pretty soon the entire bar is roaring at the sight of my pie-plastered mug. Lo and behold, I got my cutie mark that day. A mask with a giant grin on his face. It was the happiest day of my life, let me tell you. So, back to the killer joke. I'm not kidding about this one. It's the big time, folks. Let me tell you something. I found it. And this is how. I was busy rounding up the last of my set. Phil's bar was pretty low on guests that evening. Only old Jack in the corner curled up with a ball of his favorite poison. I delivered the final line and took a few bows to the crickets before stepping out the stage. I made my way to the bar where Philosophus, Grope Bowtender and owner of Bell's Bar, was spit cleansing a set of glasses. I shuddered. I drank out of those occasionally. Phil, that's gross, I said, taking a seat at the bar. What? You want me to use the water? The goat spat at me, pointing at a bucket of water near the end of the bar. It was bubbling with radioactive goodness. I think if I had one more of those fancy pip-puck thingamajigs, it'd be clicking like mad at the moment. I shuddered even more. No, you're good. Just a beer, I guess, I said. Phil sighed, grabbing a bottle from under the counter. I popped the lid off with my teeth, easier said than done when you're nerve pulling like myself, and took a swig. It was warm, but tingled as it trickled down my throat. That's the stuff. So, good show tonight, eh? It sucked, like always. Lame, Phil replied. He spat another glass, taking a dirty rag to the inside of it. By the time he was done, it was filthier than when he started. Hey, just because you don't like it, don't mean it ain't funny, I said. I didn't see you complain when I actually bring in the business. Phil rolled his eyes. It's not like this place costs a whole lot to begin with, he said, peering out over at old Jack. The older Earth pony had been coming to Phil's for about as long as I can remember. His place was always at the far end of the bar, where he'd drink until he fell asleep, then wake up and repeat the process all over again. Still don't know how he hadn't croaked yet. I think Phil was just starting to give him free booze after he realized he wasn't going anywhere. Well, don't worry too much, Phil. One of these days I'll be the best comedian in the wasteland, and I'll buy you a fancy new place with all them caps, I said, taking another swig of my beer. All right, the ultimate keys here. You've been going on about the for 6 years, joke. It don't exist, ain't no such thing, Phil replied. There is too, Phil. I swear on my mom's gray. Lilith bless her soul, I said. Phil snorted. Your mom is stupid, he said. She's in the back, stocking, remember? Oh, right, I said, putting my ears back secretly. I kicked back the rest of the beer, grinning. Tonight could be tonight, Phil. I could find it just around the corner. Yeah, keep on dreaming, joke. Now get in the back and help your mom feed the stocking. You can leave after it, the goat said. I nodded, depositing the beer into the trash can as I made my way towards the back room behind the bar. A grunting noise caught my attention. In the far end of the back room stood my ma. Mom was an earth pony like me, with a faded red coat and purplish mane. She was busy lifting a crate of alcohol up to a shelf. I stepped up next to her and lifted the next crate, setting it gently on the shelf. How did your show go? She said, grabbing a bottle out of the next crate and cracking it open. She took a long draw off of it. Went all right. I got a good feeling about my material lately, Ma, I said. Ma smiled softly. So, no ponies showed up? She said. I sighed, resting my head against her back. Nope, I said sullenly. Ma placed a hoof on my shoulder, patting me lightly. Don't worry, sweetheart. You'll get a crowd one of these days, she said. You just have to keep at it. I don't know, Ma. What if I'm not cut out for this? I mean, what if my cutie mark's wrong? What if I'm not supposed to be a comedian? I said, the weight of the world catching up with me and reality setting in. Honey, you have to believe in yourself. I do. You'll always be my funny little boy, my mom replied, nuzzling me close. I smiled. Ma always knew what to say to make me feel better. She was good at that. We sat there for a few moments in silence before sitting back at the rest of the crates. Our work was interrupted by a sudden crash from the front room bar. There was shouting, then gunshots. My eyes widened. I glanced over at Ma. She motioned for me to hide behind a stack of wine crates. She pleaded with me silently as the door to the back room started to open. I pushed behind the crates and sat there. Just one back there, boss, I heard a voice say. Weird, look at what we got here, boys. This is a fine piece of flag if I ever saw one, a darker, grating voice said. What do you want? Ma said. Who are you? Tinker, shut up, the voice replied. Boss, Tinker, she's coming with us. Ain't a unicorn, but she'll do. My eyes widened. I wanted to jump out, but I couldn't see anything. They were armed. I wasn't a fighter. I was a comic. I got assaulted when Pie said cake, but put a gun in my host and I had no clue. Please, what are you doing? Get off me! Ma shouted. I couldn't stand the sound of her tone. Put her in the car and let's get going. We need to get down to Ponyfield to offload this mess of slaves to Red Eye's group, or he's going to be pleased, the voice said. Slavers, I thought. I always heard horror stories about ponies being captured by brutal slavers, who sold into the service to sick and disgusted ponies, who did everything from violate to murder their slaves. I couldn't let that happen to Ma. I mean, she was my Ma. A click sound indicated the door had been closed. I'd been so scared, shivering behind the crates, that I hadn't been able to move. Ma sat to the back room, heading towards the door. I pulled it open quietly, peering out into the bar. Phil was splayed out in the bar, his blood spilling into the hardwood floor below. Old Jack was still in his corner, sound asleep. The attackers, whoever they were, hadn't even bothered to kill him. The front door bar was wide open. I heard Ma screaming from outside. Her screams and sounds were getting fainter by the moment. I looked over the other side of his side, shaking him hard. His eyes opened blearily and yawned, looking up at me. Joke! Show's over! I missed it again, didn't I? He said. Jack, we got a problem here. Some pony killed my Phil and took Ma. We gotta get her back, I shouted. The stallion grimaced, looking past me and Phil's body. He sighed. Fucking slavers. All that blood's gonna ruin the booze. What do we do, Jack? What do we do? I said frantically. The stallion sighed and slapped me hard across the face with his hoof. I pointed to the contact, stopping immediately. First things first. You stop your panicking, the old stallion said. Second, did you hear at all where they were headed? Well, whoever it was said something about Ponyville, I said. Jack's eyes shot wide open. Shit, if they're sending you to Ponyville, we gotta get there, he said. What's so bad about Ponyville? I asked, my insides turning inside out as I waited for the stallion to answer. He stood and pushed himself back in front of the bar. Ponyville's a raiders' town, son. She won't be survived. She'll be eaten alive, he said. The stallion stumbled around the bar, pushing Phil's body and causing the dead goat to fall to the ground. He grunted, Sorry, Phil. Gotta need this. He reached under the bar, pulling out a rifle. I've seen that rifle many times before. Phil kept it for protection. Not that he really needed it. He never got enough crowd to warrant it. Jack slung the rifle over his shoulder blade. Jack, what are you doing? I said as the stallion walked by. Gonna get your ma back, son. You said that now, Jack replied. I stepped forward, placing a hoof to stop him. You can't do that, I said. They'll kill you, Snack snorted. I'm more than capable of taking care of myself, young'un. Besides, your ma's a good gal. She don't deserve that, the old stallion said. I stomped a hoof. I'm coming with you, I said. Son, you're not a fighter. You're a jokester. You want to live 5 seconds out there? Jack said. Now go on. I'll be back with your ma, don't worry. He pushed past me and went out to open the door. I stood there, my front knees shaking and knocking together. Jack was right. I wasn't a fighter. I only tried to ever make ponies laugh. I had to do something. I had to help my ma. I couldn't let her I couldn't even think about it. I grimaced as I walked up to the stairs to my room, where my stuff was. I opened my trunk, selecting a few things that I might be able to use. A choke buzzer here, a rubber chicken there, and even a cased up banana green pie. Yes, I could do something with these. I pulled my things into my saddlebag as I took one last look at my room. Likely the last time I ever see it. Upon a grimace of determination, stared out my window. Let's get comedic, I said. You ever wonder how hard it is to keep track of a pony when you have no idea where you're going yourself? Really fucking hard, that's how hard. I had thought about maybe old Jack would move slowly, being as old as he was, But it turns out the elderly stallion was still quick on his hooves. Still, he hadn't seen me yet. I followed along, glancing around nervously as the hillside surrounding Tringham came into view. A road made of broken rubble and debris was out of our path to the city proper. Dead grass and even deader trees littered the wasteland. My hopes were starting to hurt from all the walking by the time Jack had stopped the first time. In the distance past the stallion, I could see a few lights that appeared to be a few fires. A slaver caravan? I thought I made myself scarce, hiding behind a big pile of rocks. After several hours of waiting, the stallion began to move again, and I followed. Wasn't sure where we were going. My host still hurt quite a bit. But I did what I could to soldier on. Old Jack was stopped from time to time, watching the caravan intently. The rolling grain fields were quickly replaced with large amounts of flatlands, patches of ground grass interspersed with dirt. There was the occasional broken tree, but no cover for miles. I began to grow increasingly worried that Jack would see me, or worse. The caravan would see the both of us. Nothing happened, though. The plains eventually sloped down to a large valley. I could see where the caravan was headed. Sitting at the edge of a massive forest, that was actually green, was a tiny hamlet nestled in the valley. There was smoke emanating from one of the buildings. Jack stopped at the top of a tiny ridge, watching the slaver caravan intently. I grimaced as I got closer to the ridge. Jack suddenly spoke. "Kid, if you're so intent on following me, you might as well come down," he said. He turned and looked straight at me. Not sure how he saw me in my disguise. Guessing the big nose and moustache with the black rimmed glasses wasn't exactly the best way to conceal myself. I tried down the ridge in front of him. "How long have you known?" I asked. Jack snored. "Look, I knew the moment I left," he replied. "I knew you couldn't resist coming to get your mole." "So why didn't you say something?" I said. Jack pointed down the ridge at the hamlet. "See that? Bonneville. Those flesh are going to offload their slaves here for a nice operation," the older stallion said. "It's going to be our best chance of getting your mole out. We need a distraction, so I'm kind of glad you came along." "What do you mean?" I said, blinking. Jack grinned widely. "My boy, you're going to introduce yourself to the locals. You're going to put out the greatest comedy show of your lifetime," he said. My eyes widened. "But you say yourself they're raiders," I said. "You know, bad, evil ponies who kill other ponies." "That's why you need a better disguise. In order to take you, they think you're one of them," Jack said. "You get in there, put on your show, and while they're all distracted, I'll sneak in and free them all. We'll meet in the forest outside town. Never find us there." "But what if they try and kill me? What if they try and eat me?" I said frantically. "My jokes aren't that great." "Relax, kid. We're here to simple-minded. Let's go in with some fart jokes. Those stupid folks will laugh at anything." "All right," Jack replied. "Now get over here. Let's see what you got in your bags." I nodded silently and trotted over the stallion. Over the next hour, we dug everything I brought with me out of my bags, which had inadvertently been my entire supply of comic supplies. I scammed a lot since I realized my special talent, and it showed. Most of my junk came from the Ministry of Morale warehouses, where I had spent most of my time running away from those crazy sprite bot thingies. Still, I managed to collect many things I thought would be funny at my routines. Jack worked silently, yanking at anything to the side we didn't need. Thanks to little Maid Joe, Sally's gotta look its best on stage after all. It's his fake blood. For teen women check it, don't ask. I'm starting to look more and more like a bloodthirsty raider. When Jack was reasonably pleased with the disguise, he thrust the rest of my things back into my bags, set me on my way. I tried down the ridge towards the tiny village, my fear increasing even more when I saw a row of pony heads impaled in several spikes next to a bridge that led to the hamlet. I was careful as I made my way to the bridge, hoping this was going to work. Bang! A gunshot out of nowhere, causing me to jump out of my skin to the side. I glanced up, seeing a smoky rifle out of the trees. As checking to make sure my insights were staying inside, I looked down at the smoking hole in the ground in front of me. "Come any closer, you fuck, and I'll shoot trees out," a voice said, pausing for a moment. "Actually, maybe I'll just shoot you anyways. Adding to my little collection after you." I was starting to panic internally, but I had to do something. I had to keep my cool or Maul would be dead. So would I. "Oh, hey there," I said, cheerfully waving. "Look, I don't got any problem here, now do I? I mean, I'm a raider and all." There was a pause. Could have sworn I heard cursing under a pony's breath. You're a raider," Yep, I said, smiling wide as I could. I mean, just look at me. I'm bloodied, covered in shit, and I got this sweet mane due. Totally a raider. I came down to Ponyville because I was heard it was also for raiders. Because I'm a raider. I heard rustling from the trees, and a tan unicorn jumped out from the canopy. His eyes were bloodshot, and his mane ragged. On his flank, I could see a pair of crosshairs. I cringed at what his pistol talent could be. His rifle flowing in its magic as he locked eyes on me. After several excruciating moments of silence, he dropped it to his side. You got to the right place, you feast. Ponyville Raiders are the best kind of raiders. Come on, follow me, he said. I nodded, gulping loudly as I followed behind the unicorn. What have I gotten myself into? I thought frantically, before remembering why I was here. All right, Ma. I'll get you out of here, Mom. It's the last thing I do. So, well, what do you guys do for fun around here? Besides the killing and the mutilating and traumatizing we raiders love to do, I said casually as I trotted alongside the next tandem unicorn. He mumbled under his breath and sighed heavily. Look, just shut your mouth till we get to the boss, he said. He'll tell you what to do. I grimaced as we passed under the bridge into town. I was awestruck by what the years of decay and desecration had done to the town of Ponyville. What must have been a thriving little community before the war was now a shithole. Still, it was looking better than Tryham on a good day. We made our way into town square, where several large cages had been set up. Each one had several dozen ponies. I nearly cried when I saw Ma. She was at the back of one of the cages, her head held low and crying. Her mane looked like it had been torn to pieces, and nasty cut on her neck. Hey! The unicorn said. Must have caught me staring. Stop hiding the merchandise! What are they for? I asked. The unicorn shrugged. Fuck if I know! Boss told us we're not allowed to kill them. Says that they belong to Red Eyes ponies, he replied. Tell her too. I just want to get them like the new fishes they are, spread out the entrails. He was foaming at the mouth, literally by the time he was done with his tirade. You all right there? I asked. You, don't have a lot of other fun, do you? How fun? The unicorn replied, man-crank listening. What do you mean other fun? I have lots of fun. You know, laughing. Good times. I'm a comedian. At least I was before I became a raider. I said, cringing at the next choice of words. I mean, entrails, they're funny, right? The unicorn played twice at me. Entrails? They're hilarious! The raider shouted. You can't. We're wasting time. We need to get you to the boss, comedian. I tried to grin, nodding frantically as I followed behind him. With moments we arrived at what I could probably describe as the most horrifying place I'd ever been. It was a treehouse. Well, tree library, I suppose you could call it. It was burnt black at several places, the branches ending in charred sticks. There were no leaves on them, and there was blood everywhere. It covered the outside, pulling into a rivulet that soaked into the ground to the side of the massive library. An old, broken-down sign sat in front. I couldn't make out the words on it. The other raider talked out casually, pushing the door open, leading me inside. If outside this building was horrifying, the inside was vile, wretched, and insane. Bodies of ponies littered the walls, some of them pinned up in macabre poses. Many of them appeared to have engaged in sexual acts, while missing body parts and skin. In the center of the room, laying on one of the tables, was a dead pony. Its entrails splayed out for all to see. I'll admit, this was one of my better moments. I threw up. Heaved. Prayed to the porcelain alicorn. Blue chunks, that sort of thing. Fortunately, it was all over the unicorn next to me. Growled loudly at me, covered completely in my vomit. It was about to rip my head off before a voice stopped us both. Stop! The voice shouted. Glanced up, seeing a dark navy, earth-colored pony, wearing spiked barding, and a slicked-up mohawk for a mane. His eyes were crazed. Stitch! Get the fuck out of here! Okay, up! Make one of the slaves lift the shit off you! I'm gonna talk to our crazy friend here. Unicorn looked over at me, growling again before turning back. Sorry, boss! He said, pushing the door open, leaving the library. I was shaking my hose as the other pony in the room trotted up next to me. So, you're a raider, huh? Think you got what it takes to be a badass? To be one of my crew? He said. I nodded feebly. The raider leader snored. Look at you! You're the worst fucking leader I've ever seen! Still blood chunks all over the site with a little blood! So! He growled wildly, pulling out a jagged knife from his side pocket. Mere seconds the blade was at my throat. I should tell me who the fuck you are and what the fuck you're doing here. I'm just a comedian, sir. I tell jokes, I said weakly. The Railier's eyes glinted, hinting that he was more intelligent than most of his recent brethren. He stopped and roared in laughter. Fucking comedian? Are you fucking kidding me? He said. And I'm the comedian. Tell me a joke and make it a good one. He pressed the knife in a little, doing just enough pressure to make me squeak. I'll be your fucking last. My eyes rolled out of my head, nearly fainted. I wasn't sure what kept me on my hose. I swallowed hard. Okay. Why did it rain across the street? I said. The radiator stared at me. I took another swallow to finish the joke. They got the fucker on the other side? I waited and waited and waited some more for a reaction. The radiator merely stared at me. And suddenly the knife was gone. The radiator started chuckling loudly. You're right, my friend. You're right. I like you. You can stay, but don't piss me off. I'll gut you like the stupid fucking a joke. Got it, he said. I nodded frantically. Good. Gotta clean up and get ready for a show. The boys can use a little entertainment. I swallowed again. Where should I go? I said softly. Oh, schoolhouse. They got a stage out back. Pretty fucking busted. We'll work for your show. Let's be there in 3 hours, the rayer said. Now get the fuck out of my set! It's getting hard looking at you. I nodded again and made for the door as fast as possible, nearly slipping on some blood on my way out. The rayer slapped again uproariously as I pushed open the door and stepped outside. I stood there for a good moment, trying to process what had just happened. Had I just agreed to put on a comedy show for a bunch of raiders? No doubt about it. I was going to die. After leaving the library, I managed to hang low and find the schoolhouse where I was to perform my comedy show. I had several glimpses of Ma while watching the raiders mill about the town square. It was raining, watching ponies I always told were vicious, bloodthirsty killers. I hadn't seen the unicorn I'd thrown up on, where several other raiders were hanging around a table. Practically every kind of camp one can imagine. Having been around Phil's as long as I was, I'd seen my fair share of the things. Tubes of jet, stampede, and bottles of buck rested on the table, being down in insane qualities by the raiders. How did they even stay alive after that much? I decided it was best of me to stay out of their way and try to put on the best show I possibly could. So I held myself in a large, gaudy building with a sign out front that identified it as a boutique. I found a broken tall mirror and began to practice my jokes on it. After I was reasonably pleased with the performance, I left. 3 hours later, I found myself standing behind a broken-down old stage at the rear of old Ponyville Schoolhouse. The curtains were tattered and stained, while the stage itself had several holes in it. Regardless, somehow the raiders had managed to break up a microphone. I briefly wondered what else they used the stage for as I walked up the stairs. Red brown stains all over told me I needed to know. The raiders all gathered for this. Word got around quick. Pretty soon, every raider in the entire town was present and accounted for. I hoped and prayed this meant the slavers weren't being watched closely enough that Jack could get mauled out. Trying not to think about that old drunkard and nerve pony croaking up on that ridge. I gulped softly as I stepped to the microphone. Tapping on my forehoof, I set my bags down beside me for when I would need them. Hello? I said, hearing my voice reverberate through the clearing. The raiders stopped what they were doing all at once and glared at me. I very nearly wet myself. The raiders all looked up at me intently, so I figured the best thing to do was soldier on and start the show. Well then, I'm Lame Joke. Nice to be here. Just flew in trying him, and boy, are my legs tired. Silence. Absolute silence. I chuckled nervously and launched right into the next part of the routine. Right, so what's up for a little knock-knock jokes? Alright, so, knock-knock? I said. The crowd was completely silent. I grimaced and pitched my voice up a little. Who's there? Raider! Raider who? Ready to eat you! Crickets. Man, tough crowd. Alright, need to bring out the big guns. I thought of this as I racked my brain for something to talk about. So I needed something that would appeal to their base senses. Something violent. So, A raider, a slaver, and a slave enter a bar. The bartender says, "You can't have your slave in here. Get him out!" So the raider cuts the slave's head off, then proceeds to murder the rest of the bar. I said, a massive grin on my face. Utter and complete silence again. The leader of the raiders was now staring daggers at me. "Jeez, what's with these points? Can't catch a break worth nothing around here." I decided I had to get a little off my guard. Okay, so 3 tomatoes were walking down the street. A papa tomato, a mama tomato, and a baby tomato. The baby tomato starts lagging behind. The papa tomato starts getting really angry. I started. So the papa tomato goes back and swishes the baby tomato and says, "Ketchup!" I closed my eyes and prayed harder than I ever had before. Then I heard laughter. Chuckle at first, but that chuckle led to a chortle, and that chortle led to a snicker. Finally broke into uproariously loud laughing that reverberated all around me. I opened my eyes again to see the raiders were rolling in their seats with laughter. I'd done it! I hoped I'd been keeping the raiders distracted enough they wouldn't notice. "Some opponents letting the raiders slaves out!" a voice shouted. One of the raiders pushed up to the group. Square had been sitting out in the crowd. The raider leader stopped laughing immediately, glared at him. "What?" he shouted, grimacing in the spotlight. Well, there had been obviously a spotlight. "The slaves are loose! Some old fart pony! He can't knifey!" the other raider said. Knifey? Really? Were wasteland ponies that terrible at names? The raider leader growled. "Well then, let's fucking get him!" he roared. "Boss, ever free! Can't go in there!" the raider guard replied. I started to shift towards the back of the stage, ready to flee at a moment's notice. "You go after them, or I'll force feed you entrails on a silver platter!" the leader said, before turning his head to me, noticing I was trying to escape. "Where the fuck do you think you're going?" Gotta go! Have a great night, everybody! Be here all week! I squeaked as I rushed off the stage and started sprinting towards the scare. My mom and Jack were in the forest, and I had to get there. The raiders began to shout and cry out to me. Gunshots echoed across the square, and dust kicked up underneath my hoofs. "Get the fuck!" the raider leader shouted as his hoofbeats pounded the ground beneath him. I shrieked in terror, while jumping up over a small fence that was my way as I tried to get to the forest. Master Green loomed over me as I made to the entrance. Never seen such lush green trees before in my life. Was this some place that wasn't affected by radiation? Had the war simply not occurred here? I didn't have much time to ponder on the forest before shots and shouts pulled my attention back to here and now. I grimaced as I stopped with a fork in my path. I decided I was going to need to lose him somehow. I growled, stopping off the forward path and into the underbrush. Only one was going to get out of this alive. I panted hard, having never ran that heavily in my life. Finally, the shouts died away, replaced by shouts of the dark forest. I looked around, seeing nothing but darkness for miles. The trees and brush surrounded me, locking me in. I nearly tripped on a root, but was able to regain my footing and continue on. "Ma? Old Jack?" I called out to the nothingness. Sounds of crickets in the forest mocked my every movement. I was scared. Had I gone the wrong way? I kept going forward, figuring eventually I had to hit the end of the forest. Then I could double back around and find Ma and Jack. Then we could go home and be happy again. I so desperately wanted that. I managed to push through the clearing, elated to finally be free of the underbrush. The clearing was idyllic, lit by moonlight, home to a lovely field of vines with petaled flowers. A sigh sat at the edge of it, taking a breather. I closed my eyes. "I did it!" I said aloud without thinking. "I told a great joke! I really did it! Maybe I'm cut out for this comedy stuff." I sighed again. I knew I could do it. If I really just kept at it, I just knew it. A slithering sound dropped me out of my reverie. I opened my eyes, spun around, looking for the source. Nothing. "Hello?" I called. "Anybody there?" Another slithering sound echoed from behind me. I turned around again, my eyes widening as I saw a vine coming towards my face. The blue flowers on it seemed to be taunting me as it wrapped around my face. And then I saw nothing. So, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But the story doesn't exactly end there, now does it? I said, grinning widely. Nope, it definitely doesn't. After I woke up, well, I guess, after my eyes reopened, that is, I was, well, different. A vine slithers through the underbrush, caressing the leg of the pony. He squirms as he tries to get away. I don't understand why. After all, I'm just a comedian. A jester. I make ponies laugh, not cry. Oh, now don't try to get away. You're ruining the fun, I said. And I was having so much fun. You know that, right? A pony tries to scream, but he can't. A lion's wrapped around his mouth, preventing it. I frowned. All I wanted was some pony to listen to my show. You see, I never did see Ma or old Jack again. Don't even know they made it out of the forest alive, I said, waving a vine in the air. But I did get to find the ultimate joke. Oh, yes, I truly did. The pony tries to scream louder, but its muffled cries can't be heard through the vine. Tears are streaming down the pony's eyes. Oh, and about our little bet. I bet that I would get you, didn't I? I say, my razor-sharp teeth gleaming in the moonlight. Well, looks like I got ya. A crunch, a scream, and then finally, silence. Well, kitties, it looks like finally we meet a comedian who knows how to really knock 'em dead.